and welcome to this week's episode of StudioTech Live. This is episode number 146 for the 22nd of July, 2014. On this week's episode, we're going to be talking about vMix and the latest and greatest version number, which is number 13. And we think this may be a lucky number for you, so stay tuned for that. But before we get started, we'd like to thank the companies that enable us to bring you StudioTech each and every week. Teradek is a worldwide leader in communication hardware for high-definition video distribution. Both the UK and US studios are linked 24/7 with the use of Teradek cubes, as these provide a reliable HD low-latency link. We use Teradek Bond 2 for remote links and Teradek Bolts for near-zero latency remote camera links. We also have recently added Teradek Clips for remote camera monitoring and UAV downlinks. We're really connected by Teradek. Thanks to Teradek for their support. We'd also like to thank NewTek. NewTek TriCasters are at the heart of both the US and UK studios, improving our production ability, workflow, and streaming. For more information on NewTek, check out their website at newtek.com. We'd like to thank NewTek for their support of StudioTech. We'd also like to thank BitGravity, who provide us with the bandwidth for all of our live streams.
BitGravity provides the bandwidth for all the TTFN TV live streams. We continue to receive very positive comments on the quality of the live video, and this combined with outstanding service and support makes BitGravity a great company to work with. So if you're looking for someone to help with your live streaming requirements, check BitGravity out at www.bitgravity.com.
And we are here. Now, normally, each and every week on Tuesday at this time, you have myself and Mr. Johnson, Mark Johnson. Now, once again, this is the second week in a row, not that anyone is counting, but Mr. Johnson is on holiday. We call it vacation here in the U.S., even though I really think he's doing a lot more work than he generally does when he's in the studio, but that's another whole discussion by itself. But before we get started on today's show, I'd like to mention just a few items of interest. Now, we started a Patreon site about a month ago or so, and that's at www.patreon.com/StudioTech. And we'd like to thank those who donated to the cause. StudioTech is expensive. We enjoy what we do, and we would like to just thank anyone and everyone that has contributed. Please try to at least check out the Patreon site. If you think that we're worth anything, give a couple of bucks, and we really would appreciate it. Now, also, we have ads.studiotech.tv. Now, this is a swap site that allows you to buy and sell audio and video equipment to viewers, friends, relatives, anyone that may need video equipment, audio equipment throughout the world. Now, that's at ads.studiotech.tv. The magic code password is ADS2014. That gets you in. We'll do a little review to make sure you're not robot spamming us. And then you can post, buy, or sell the audio and video equipment. So check that out. ADS2014 is the code at ads.studiotech.tv. Now, also recently, within the last month, we've released an iOS app, and it's available on the App Store. So just log in at the App Store and search for StudioTech. We're working on other items as well, but check out the iOS app. It allows you to do live live chatting in the chat room. You can watch us live on video and interact with us via your iOS device. Now, of course, I'm not here alone. Each and every week, Peter does join. So, Peter, thanks for coming in and controlling the main control board there in the UK studio. So, welcome.
Thank you very much, Fazens. And as always, I forgot to mute the main feed from the TriCaster that I have up to make sure that the sound from the DDRs are going out correctly. But that's all sorted, and it's going to be a good show tonight. Someone said in the chat room it looks hot where our special guest is. And it's been hot, certainly in the States, and it's been pretty hot today here in the UK. So on that note, I'm not quite melting yet, but let me put it back to you, Vance.
Very good. Now, we would like to introduce someone that probably is not so hot in the climate where he's located. I think it's very, very early in the morning there, but welcome to Martin Sinclair, who is the founder of vMix. So, Martin, welcome and thank you for coming to our tropical, oh no, it's really not tropical where you are, but thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me again. Yeah, so as usual, it's 4 a.m. over here in Australia, and it's right in the middle of winter. So I thought I would put in a tropical background just to make myself feel like I'm in the same climate as you guys today. But yeah, a lot to talk about with regards to new features in vMix 13.
All right, well, great. Well, we're going to get to those in just a quick minute. We always like to start the show off with news items of the week. Now, sometimes we don't have a lot. Sometimes we have a whole lot. And we just try to bring you things that we find of interest that come to us throughout the week. So I'd like to start off with Blackmagic and Blackmagic's summer price drop of the Pocket Cinema camera. Now, we've shown this to you a number of times, both from NAB, a couple other trade shows as well. But the Blackmagic Cinema camera is now on a summer price drop special. So we'll take a look at it here. And, of course, we remember this as the Pocket handheld one. You will need to pick up a lens for this. But here's the size, very small, high definition. You can use it for a lot of different capturing options. You see many different lens options. And we're also going to talk about new formats that this thing will do here in just a second. But I just want to remind everyone of what the camera was. There are professional connections, and you can even just load this thing down as the ultimate camera rig. But the biggest thing this week is you see now that it's £325, which is $495 US. So that's a pretty significant price drop for what we've seen. So check out the Blackmagic Cinema Cam. If you've been saving up your money to get one, pick that up and check it out. Now, also, Blackmagic did something else this week with some updates. And what they did with these updates is they added some ProRes modes. Now, the Pocket Cinema camera can now use ProRes 422, ProRes 422 LT, and ProRes 422 Proxy with a new firmware release. Okay, and this is available using the firmware update of 1.8.2. And they're actually, I guess that's a software upgrade on a lot of the devices. So the Blackmagic production camera 4K, the Pocket Cinema, and the Cinema camera all can be updated directly from Blackmagic. We'll take a look at that. I think I have something on this as well, and pretty much what we just said. So it was updated just a couple of days ago, and they talk about the different 422 proxies. So you'll be able to get smaller video files, allowing much longer recording on the same media card, and you still preserve the full frame 10-bit 422. So that's something that you will probably like to check out if you have a Blackmagic device. Now, another news item this week is Atomos. Atomos is taking pre-orders now for the Shogun, and they also will give you a free spider. Now, we've talked about the spider a couple of times and how it works with calibration on video monitors. Now, this device is used on the Atomos. Let me see here. Okay, so all the Atomos line is here. But if you order the Shogun, which the Shogun is, I apologize, I thought I had this pulled up. It is monitor recorders. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so the Shogun, here we go. This is we showed this to you at NAB. This is the all-in-one 4K HDMI monitor that's 7 inches in diameter, but it's very thin and light. Does ProRes. If you pre-order one of these now, as you can see, before July 31st, we're coming up on that. Got about another few days on this. You will get the color calibration tool, the spider, that will keep this in full color calibration. Now you can also use it on your samurai blades. That's the spider. But you will get one of those free, which is $150 US value on the Atomos. So that's something to certainly check out. Now, one other thing that I saw that would probably be of some interest to some of our viewers is that Google gets its WebP back into the news. Now, the WebP is an image format that's, I don't say it's similar to JPEG, but Google wants to speed up the internet. And this is the news that Google has put out once again. Now, this has been out for some time, but they've got it back into the news. I've seen on some of the tech blogs recently that they say we can speed up the internet if we can get all of the images to be sized down and still stay high resolution. So it's a compression system set up in WebP. See if we can pull that one up as well. Let's see here. That is, I thought I had it. Maybe not. Yeah, there it is right here. Okay, so the story of WebP. So they want to speed up the internet. So what the idea is behind this is that there's so many large images transferring across the internet at every given second that if you make the images smaller, whether it be on video sites or any type of sites, that 1/3, say around 1/3 better image compression than JPEG, it will save on internet speeds. Now, the reason we bring this up is because obviously upload and download, especially upload speeds for us, are very, very important with web connectability. So I found it very interesting that Netflix has already started using it. So looks like Facebook is using it, eBay. So there's obviously some companies that are experimenting with this WebP. And it's also related in with the VP8 video codec. We may even talk to Martin and see if he knows anything about that coming up. But just an interesting thing. We all have conversations about liking high-speed internet, and it's a good thing to keep those speeds as fast as possible. Whenever we can get faster internet speeds, I think that's great. Now, each and every week we ask for videos and pictures and emails and any kind of comments we can get from our viewers. And this week we got a series of 8 photographs from Robert from RPB Productions. And Robert tells us about a real world situation to where he's using the TriCaster 410. He purchased a 410, mounted it in a road case, and set up some other bits and pieces, and says this last stream he did, he went from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 12 hours, 2 days in a row. It was set up with one camera on each stage, had multiple stages. Used a Samurai as a safety record, a backup. Everyone knows that we use 2 or 3 backups each week. So if we have one that doesn't work or goes down or has a glitch, we do have a backup. He was running SDI out of the TriCaster and had a MacBook Pro for the lower thirds, et cetera, et cetera. Also, he used a Mac Mini and just a few things. So we're going to just go through a few of the photos I think we have up to show you. Take a look at those. So here's a setup from the control desk looking up on the stage. And you can see the control surfaces on the left, program outs on the left, and then multi-view is on the right. The keyboard to the TriCaster, the all-important earphones for monitoring, mouse, and there's the road case you see on the right. You see the Samurai, looks like it's on a little bracket with the video in going into the top port on the Samurai. Small audio mixer just over to the right as well. So very clean and neat, looks like efficient setup, and also a program schedule of some type under the left-hand monitor. So we'll go to the next one and see this. Another shot that shows the road case, shows the MacBook Pro up on the top of the road case. Pretty compact setup there on the production table. So we'll check the next one out. Here's the cameraman, obviously getting a little FaceTime on the shot. High definition camera, looking good there. Here's another one from the back side once everyone's there for the competition. You see projectors. So he's got some pretty big screens running there and streaming, recording full time. Here's another one in operation while the recording's going on. You can see the lower thirds are on the MacBook Pro. That looks like it's going out through the display port on the HDMI. And that may be it. Might be the last one. Is that it, Peter?
That's the last one.
One
here.
more, yeah, from a different angle there. Last one there. Okay. All right. So you can see that's in full production. So we want to thank Robert for sending those in. Anytime we can see those, it sounded like did 2 full days of streaming and recording and didn't have any problem with the 410 and all of that equipment. So he thanks us for some of the items we've gone over for the last few years on how to get all of that going. Now, one of our viewers that watches each and every week in the chat room also sent in some pictures, and that's Ralph FR-FR. And so Peter's going to show some of those and possibly talk about those as well.
Okay, so yes, Ralph sent in a little comment earlier before we went pre-show, and said, sitting here in an outside broadcast van, I've got some pictures, so send them in. So he did. So I only had these about an hour ago through a tortuous route, but this is the back of his outside broadcast van. I guess that's power distribution unit right at the very bottom, and then various inputs, look like SDI input rack at the top. I see there's a little converter there, could be a router possibly. So at the top, I said these came with no explanation, so I am winging it. And then this is inside his outside his OB van. So there's looks like some routing patch panels there. I haven't really had a chance to look. An audio meter in the middle, a couple of power distribution units at the top, switches, and a few more interesting little bits and pieces in the corner. And of course at the front, the audio mixing desk. And I guess the video mixing desk we can't see. Interesting monitor there on the wall, on the far wall. I don't know whether that is an audio or a video waveform. It's hard to see from here. So then he went on and showed us one of the cameras with a Blackmagic design. I think that's a converter on the back. And there's a slightly better view. I'm sure it'll come back to me in the chat room if I'm wrong. Oh yes, they're saying in the middle there's a Blackmagic dual screen. That was on this one, I think. Yes, that's right. Yes, Blackmagic dual screen, about third rack down, and back of the camera. And there we have the two vans. One the satellite broadcast van, and the other looks like a mixing van. So quite a nice little setup there. You'll see rows of drums, not quite as many as cables as in Vanta's studio, but still a fair few going over there. So that's good to see. And finally, the event that Ralph is covering, the Tour de France, which is a subsidiary to the Tour de Yorkshire, which started in the UK about 2 weeks ago and then moved to France. Sorry, I couldn't resist that. That was quite a good event. So thanks very much, Ralph, for that. And I'm sorry if I haven't done them justice. So just sort of winging it from what we see. So there we go. So back to you, Vance.
Right. So, Peter, my favorite one out of all of those has to be the one with the wiring.
Indeed.
I guess that goes without saying.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
absolutely.
I know there's a couple of them in there, but one of them was way too neat. So that was not my favorite one.
No,
I think
no.
the first one you threw up, I really liked a lot. So anyway, okay, enough about that. Thanks so much for those photos that came in from our viewers. Please continue to send those in. We'd love to see them, talk about that stuff. If you can send a little description of what everything is via some text or something, that's great. But like you said, Peter, that was just kind of impromptu before the show, and that was great.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, look, we're going
really good to get
jump.
those. Yeah, really good to get those.
Yeah,
so please take, even if it's only a couple, show us your setups, because we all learn from them, and it's always interesting to see how other people meet the challenges that we're meeting every day.
That's exactly right. I agree completely, Peter. Well, we're going to jump right in. Martin Sinclair from vMix says he has about 3 or 4 hours worth of material, and we're going to give him exactly 41 minutes to go over vMix and the newest version of 13. So Martin has been on a number of times on StudioTech Live with us. Martin sponsored some of our work at NAB in 2014, so we'd like to thank him for that. But Martin, welcome once again, and let's jump into the newest version of vMix, version number 13. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so back at NAB, when I was last on StudioTech Live, we announced vMix 4K and vMix Social, and then had the chance at NAB at our booth to talk to customers, new customers, those interested in live production and the various challenges that they face and how they might think vMix could help them. And one of the big, I guess, requests and things people were looking for is just a more flexible audio mixing system built right into vMix. So I guess it's not as an exciting feature as 4K being the latest thing, and social media integration. That was the big thing last year that customers were looking for. But audio is something that I've had on my mind for a long time, just trying to work out the best way to do it and what sort of features customers were looking for. Sorry, my earphones are falling off here, which is a bit ironic. We're talking about audio today. But so I guess I can just, dive right into the audio, new audio features in vMix. So my audio that I'm sending to you guys now is getting sent via Skype and is through the new vMix audio mixing channels. So if I switch to the screen capture here, you can just get an idea of the vMix interface. Sorry, we'll just resynchronize that to the vMix window so you guys can get a better look. So this is the vMix window here of what I'm sending you guys over Skype, and you can see down here in the right hand corner we have the audio mixer. So this audio mixer has been modified in a huge number of ways with a whole lot of different features. One of the main ones is headphone output and solo capability. So just like on an audio mixer where you can solo each input and you can listen to them in the headphones without affecting the main mix, you can do that now in vMix. So you can see the master output area that I'm just highlighting with my mouse here has a little headphones volume control down the bottom, so you can adjust a separate volume level for your own speakers or headphones without affecting the main volume level for the main stream recording and output and so on. So we added a solo button here so I could go and listen to my microphone here, and if all goes well you shouldn't be able to hear a double up on the audio. So I hope that you couldn't hear anything there. That would have shown that that's working as expected.
Worked perfectly.
So I can monitor.
Yeah, that worked perfectly.
Yep. Yeah. So I can monitor, each input without affecting the output that I'm sending. And one of the other major new features, which I guess it comes down to a big request from users, is getting better Skype integration. And I know on StudioTech, Skype is sort of that word you don't name, because with Skype comes a lot of challenges with live production. And usually the way people bring Skype into a live production is they set up a separate computer. So you guys have I think a Mac Mini that you've got set up there in the studio, and that's how my audio and video is getting sent out to the stream and running through the switcher before going out to the stream. The reason for that is because with audio, the big challenge, I guess, that people don't initially realize with Skype is that, okay, you can bring in the Skype and the audio into your live production, but then that Skype caller is going to hear themselves back. And because of the delays, I'm over here in Australia and I'm sending audio over to the UK, and then that audio is getting bounced over to the US studios. That's a long time. That could be up to a couple of seconds over Skype in delay. So when you have the Skype caller there calling into the show and hearing himself 2 seconds later, that can be very distracting. So what people typically use is a audio mixer, and they use mix minuses, which are basically entirely separate mixes where they've chosen what audio channels they want to send back. So you guys there in StudioTech will have an audio mix where my audio is excluded from the mix. So I can hear Vance, I can hear Peter, but I don't hear myself. So what I've done is the same sort of principle. A mix minus ability has been added to the vMix audio mixer. So if you see the audio mixer here, each input now has 3 buttons underneath it: M, A, and B. So M is master mix. So the master mix is what goes out to the recording, goes out to the stream. It's what you see here. The master mix is what vMix has been able to mix from the beginning. But now I've added A and B buses, which essentially you can toggle and say, hey, I want to send out to the A audio output just this microphone, or I want to send out an additional mix with the B channel to another microphone or another Skype caller, and mix things around that way. So in this setup, to try to keep it as simple as possible, as I guess in the pre-show, Peter talked about all the challenges of different audio mixes, and he was setting up what audio to send to me and what to Vance, and to make sure we could all hear each other. It can get quite complicated, but I'll try my best to just do a simple explanation here of how I've set this up for this particular Skype call. So we have the master. As I said, it's just the ordinary audio mix. You know, you've got video clips playing, you may have a couple of microphones or cameras coming in. You know, it's pretty easy to understand they're going to be all mixed to the master audio mix. Then I have an A mix. So I've chosen A as the audio mix that I'm going to send back to you guys in the StudioTech studios. So to do that, I have a microphone. This is my microphone here. It's a Sennheiser microphone that I've then plugged in through a USB audio input device. And I've selected A, but I haven't selected the master mix. So what I'm sending to you guys is the microphone through the A channel, and then the A channel is what has been selected in Skype. And then I have here is the Skype. This is the audio that I'm receiving back from you guys. And this audio is the master track. So it's sort of done in reverse, but to keep it simple here, I've had the Skype audio from you guys into my master mix and my headphone mix. So I've got my earphones plugged in, and I'm hearing you guys here, but I'm not hearing myself because I haven't ticked the M box for the audio. So basically...
So if I talk now, yes, you can see the master meter moving. So that's my signal coming into you.
Yeah, so that's right. You can see that the call from the StudioTech studios through Skype coming through to me is the only one that's going out to the master. And I've set up the independent A channel with my microphone to send back to you guys. So if, say, someone was using vMix to bring in Skype into their live production, they could bring in Skype and they would do the reverse. So they would have the master mix having their microphone for their show so that the people in the stream can hear them talk. But then their Skype guest, they would set up the A bus with all of the audio except for their Skype input would be unticked. And that way you achieve a mix minus, which is just the whole entire audio mix minus them, so they don't hear themselves in feedback. So there's master A and B, so 2 separate channels. So someone could theoretically do a mix with 2 Skype callers on the same machine. And one important thing to note here is you can send out in vMix the master, the A and the B to 3 separate audio devices you have in your computer. So the trick to get those audio devices into Skype as well, you could have multiple sound cards and you can have loopback cables and all of that. Or a really good solution is an affordable piece of software. It's around $25 US called Virtual Audio Cable, and it can set up multiple audio input and out devices, and you can select which goes to where. So I have A here sent to Virtual Audio Cable channel 1, and that's what I've selected as the microphone in Skype. So you're hearing me now. So yeah, that's I guess a brief overview of the audio mixer in vMix and the 3 audio channels. One thing as well that's new is that each of these outputs you can set a compression and a gain. So you can have different audio mixes, different compression levels. Say you want a nice compressed audio for your stream so that everyone can hear it at a good volume level, but you want the raw audio sent to one of your Skype guests. So because it's all independent channels with compression and gain, you can set up that as well. So that's the audio overview. I guess hand it back to you guys if you have any questions about the audio before we take a look at some of the other new stuff in vMix.
Yeah, I do. I have one question. I maybe have a couple, but the first one is, okay, did you mention that the Skype instance, is it running on the same computer? All right, let's back up just a little bit. Okay, so we've had multiple episodes on vMix. vMix is a software-based audio and video, especially video switching software, and there are other competitors in the market around that use that are software mixers. But you can buy this as software and load it onto your own Windows machine. And I think that's the only way that virtual audio cables that you were talking about works. But Martin, tell us if the instance of Skype is running on this powerhouse vMix machine, or is it running on a separate one and coming in through an audio card input of the audio, which then you can use the virtual audio cables to connect into that A or B channel or bus, if you will.
Yeah, so I sort of dove right into the audio features without, I guess, giving an overview of how it has all been set up. But yeah, everything's all being done on a single Windows PC. Installed vMix on it, installed Skype on it. It's currently running Windows 8.1, but you can run Windows 7 or Windows 8. Or, it'll fully support Windows 9 when that's released sometime next year. So everything's running on the machine. So if I switch back to the interface here, I'll show you how Skype's been set up. So if we just move this audio mixer here just to the side, we can start seeing all the inputs that I've had in vMix. So I've created my chroma key input here. I've got a virtual set up here. And I've got a desktop capture where I'm just capturing the vMix interface. I've got a graphic. And I've got if we go back over here, this is the Skype desktop capture input. So I'm actually running Skype right now. It's actually just running behind this window. So if I open up Skype, I guess you can see there that the audio is getting sent back in a bit of a loop. So we'll go back into vMix. But that's all I'm doing. I just ran Skype on the same computer, and I used the desktop capture feature in vMix to bring in that Skype call. For the audio, I used the virtual audio cable to link up these different audio channels in vMix to the microphone and speaker settings within Skype. So through that method, it's just one computer. It doesn't need a fancy sound card, just whatever's built in is fine. But the key, I guess, components to make this all work is vMix and virtual audio cable, which allows you to route all of the audio to various programs without having to use an external audio mixer.
Okay, so one of my questions, and I think we've covered this in another episode, but how powerful of a machine? Would you buy one off the shelf? Would you build one? I guess most people would well, I don't know, but would build somewhat of a powerful computer because we're dealing with video. Now, some other video mixing software applications have things that allow you to do screen captures of both the video and the audio and bring those in as an input, but you're doing it all on the same computer running Skype in the background, which is a very, very neat way of doing it. So can you talk briefly, without getting into a lot of minutia, about the down and dirty parts of the computer? What do we need, just in a general sense, of processor, RAM, video card to make vMix 13 run well and still have a little bit of headroom for things like Skype and a couple of other things that may be needed on the computer? Not necessarily simultaneously, but just so there's a good buffer. And then we'll talk a little bit about CPU utilization when you're doing all of these, like you are right now.
Yeah, so this system that I'm currently using is based on our vMix X42 system, which is available on our website. But of course, vMix being software running on Windows, you can build your own system. So the specs of it are an Intel i7 processor. It doesn't have to be the latest and the greatest. I think this one's using a third generation Core i7 3.2 gigahertz. So they're now up to the fourth generation of those processors, but we're just using the third generation, and that's working well. But the key component with vMix is the graphics card. So running in this system, NVIDIA 660 GTX graphics card. So that's a graphics card from a couple of years ago, but it's more than enough to do all of this that you're seeing in the show today, and it's all being done in HD. And it was the same system that we demonstrated back before NAB that was doing 4K as well. So I guess the processor and the graphics card are the key components. Now, for smooth video file playback and recording, you may want to look at SSDs, but that's not overly crucial. Just mainly a mid-range graphics card, $100 to $200 is all you really need, and a reasonable processor, such as an i5 3 gigahertz or an i7 3 gigahertz to do all of this. And I thought I'll just quickly mention, because I sort of dove right into the features. All of these features you're seeing me demonstrate today are in vMix 13. So we've had vMix 13 in beta or preview for about a month or so now. So customers who are using vMix 12 or previous versions can try out vMix 13 by visiting our forums. But we will be releasing vMix 13 tomorrow, so on Wednesday, worldwide, and that'll be available for download on our main website as well. So yeah, that's about the system specs. Just CPU and graphics card are the key components to do all of that I'm showing today.
Okay, so what are some of the other audio? Obviously, is a very big issue, and that's some very good points. How about anything else in version 13 that may have been polished or changed, maybe on the video side? What else have you got there in 13 that you can show us? Because the interface, and I guess everyone noticed that the interface was customizable. So if you don't need the audio console, you can drag it off to the right or to the left to bring it back up. You can bring up your channel. So talk a little bit about both the customization of 13 and also maybe some of the other things that are new from the previous version.
Just hold that a minute, because there was a question in the chat room about the compression facilities in the system. What compression facilities are there for processing audio?
Yeah, so it's a basic audio compressor built in. So I'll just jump to the interface again here, and we can see the audio mixer here. So if I choose the cog icon under the master output, you can see that there's the compressor. So you can choose a ratio and a threshold. So the threshold basically chooses the audio level at which the compression will start to kick in, and the ratio will show how compressed that audio is. So you might choose after negative 18 dB that you want all audio to be compressed by, say, 4:1, which is a popular ratio. So that will keep the audio within a certain range, so that you don't have these big peaks in volume level. So once you bring that audio down to that range, then you can go to the General tab and use the gain slider to bring it back up to full volume. So that's available on all the output channels and all the input channels independently. So you can do a master compressor for everything, for your stream, or maybe you just want it on your microphone because your video clips will usually have all of that audio processing done beforehand. But as regards to the user interface changes and stuff like that, you have the audio mixer here, which has been there for a while. You can also dock it now. So if you have a multi-monitor system, you can put that audio mixer on a separate monitor to keep tabs of it, or you can dock it to the main window, or you can remove it completely, because vMix is flexible enough that if you're using an external audio mixer, you can use that and just run a single audio input into vMix with all of your mixing done externally. So the flexibility there is there for both approaches. But as for a couple of other new things in vMix, there's so much, as Vance alluded to, there's probably hours that I could fill with a lot of the features. But users interested can go to the forums and they can browse the preview thread where we discuss a whole lot of the new features and how everything works. But just a couple of new features is support for some additional capture devices. In particular, we've been working with AJA over the past couple of months to support their hardware. So I've supported here the Kona 3G, which is a 4 SDI capture card. It also has HDMI output as well. So the 4 SDI connectors there, those are the gold mini SDI connectors you see there. You can run them input or output in vMix. So vMix supports 2 outputs via the SDI in the vMix 4K edition. So you could run 2 input and 2 output on that particular card. So that's the card I'm actually running today for the show. So my chroma keyed camera input that you see here is running the Blackmagic 4K camera, but I'm just using the HD SDI output and running that through one of those channels. But you can also use all 4 channels together to do 4K. So a lot of cameras coming out that can do 4K, including AGA's new 4K camera that they've got in development, out for release any day now, I've heard, has 4 SDI outputs. So you can bring the 4K into a card like this and then bring that live 4K image into vMix. Or you can do 4K output with the card as well. But yeah, it's just another really versatile, high-performing card that we've added to vMix 13. So that's the Kona 3G quad. It has different firmware depending on what sort of functionality you want out of it, but vMix supports all of those different setups. But a couple of other features, just to go through them really quickly. Before, I guess, opening up to questions from you guys or the chat room, is we've added another full screen output. So if you have a 3-monitor setup and you've got a graphics card that can do 3 or 4 outputs, you can put vMix's main interface that we've been demoing today on one monitor. You can put the output, such as the program that you're seeing now of me in the Chroma King, on another monitor. And then on a third monitor, you can select preview, output, multi-view, or inputs. So I've improved the multi-view output as well. So I can toggle for you guys the multi-view output here. So you can see this is my entire multi-view setup. In this new multi-view with added titles, so you can see above me here, it says output right there. And then you can see down here, I've got all the various inputs such as desktop capture, and we've got the graphic there for the Kona 3G graphic, and I got my desktop capture. So this multi-view output I've actually got in the monitor in front of me. So you see I'm sort of looking up, I'm looking above the camera to this monitor I've got set up with the multi-view output. And this way I can see all of the different sources, and so I can know I want to queue that one up next. And you can see here the desktop capture one there, that's the Skype call. So you can see it's sort of on a couple of second delay of what you guys are seeing on the stream I have in there. So whilst I've got that Skype call in here and I'm not going to put it on the output, I can set it up in the multi-view output to keep tabs on what's happening during the show. So I'll switch that back to the output so you guys can see my chroma key again. So a whole lot of different features. And if there's anything in particular, or if you guys have questions, or you can open up to the chat room and take it from there.
Okay, so one of the questions we get every time that you come on here is there a Mac version? And I'll answer that one for you and say this is a Windows-only version of software that's Windows only. But a chat room question just came up and asked, will this work on a Mac running Boot Camp and booting into Windows? Now, obviously, you've got some interface issues like Thunderbolt devices, et cetera, that may have driver conflicts. But just let us know, Martin, what the answer to that question is, so everyone in the chat room and that's watching the video will know. Will it run on a Mac with Boot Camp running Windows?
Yeah, so what we did to demonstrate this is at the NAB show, we had in our booth a brand new MacBook Pro. I believe it was the one that was released late last year, latest generation with the built-in Intel graphics on it and 2 Thunderbolt ports. So we had that running Boot Camp and running Windows 8.1. And then we installed vMix on it. And to bring in the devices, brought a Thunderbolt external chassis. So there's a whole bunch of different manufacturers such as Sonnet Technology or Magma, who make these boxes that you can install any PCI Express capture card, and then plug that into the MacBook via Thunderbolt. So we had a capture card in there by Viewcast or Osprey Video, as they're known now. So we had a card from them that had 4 HD SDI inputs. So we hooked that up to our cameras we had at the booth, and it worked well. So it was just an ordinary MacBook Pro using Thunderbolt, and that was a great portable solution to run vMix on. And it runs on, Boot Camp and Windows. So I chose, I guess, early on to just go full throttle with Windows support. And it's allowed us to implement a lot of features very quickly, which is, part of my goal all along is ever since vMix has been released, to just keep adding those features until it can reach a very high level of features and in the professional switching market. So at NAB released vMix 12 with all those features. You can look back at the previous StudioTech videos to see that if users are interested in the vMix 4K and the vMix social announcements. And now, I guess only 3 months later, because we're just focusing on a single Windows platform, we've been able to add a whole lot of new features. The audio and the multi-view output enhancements and the AGA card support. All of that has been possible because I'm able to just focus on developing on one platform. But as Vance has mentioned, Boot Camp works well. Install Windows on the Mac. You can take full advantage of the Mac hardware running Windows and vMix.
Okay, so we had another question pop up, and that's about ISO recording. Okay, so we'll give a little bit of background on ISO recording. If you have multiple inputs coming in to video switchers, let's say you have 4 cameras. You have camera A, B, C, and D. There are many times that you would like to have separate recordings of each one of those cameras, even after you mix it. That's what a video mixer does, either software or hardware mixer. It brings them all together and gives you one output stream that essentially makes your production with graphics at the bottom and everything ready to go as a television show you would see in final production. But there are times that you would like to go back and take out bits and pieces of camera A, B, C, or D, or multiple inputs. Talk to us a little bit about the ISO recording features. We already know that it's, well, I guess I don't think you quite hit on it, that the CPU utilization is very low, even running all the way up through HD and into 4K is not too bad on the utilization of that. What happens when, let's say, we load the system down, we have multiple inputs, we're streaming and we're recording? How do things react at that point? Do we see any streaming drop frames, any recording drop frames? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so one of the big new things as well in vMix, as mentioned, we could go on for hours, but ISO recording, it's called multi-quarter in vMix. So it allows you to select any of the cameras you've already added for your live mixing production and then record them to disk. So as regards to CPU, just to give you an idea, this production that I'm sending you guys in full HD, the CPU usage meter in vMix is currently saying 5% CPU usage for everything, including bringing in the Skype calls and everything. And I'll just switch to the interface just to demonstrate that. I don't know if you can see the reading down here. probably if you squint, you can make out that number. It's saying 5%,
6%,
6%,
6%, 5%,
4%.
Yep,
so that's the CPU baseline. You've got all your inputs running. You've got all your sources, but you haven't yet started a stream or started a recording or done the ISO recording. So you get all that headroom. You basically have that 95% CPU available to you for the stream and the recording and the ISO. So to give you an idea on this particular system, if I go back to the interface again, there's a multi-quarter cog icon here, so I can bring that up. And I can see here, I've just got one camera in amongst all my sources because I just have the camera in front of me. So I could tick that and I could select a codec and I could select the audio. That's one of the new features in vMix 13 is the ability to record the raw audio from that camera. Or you can record the main mix, which is master mix in vMix there. But let's just say we'll choose the MPEG-2 recording format. MPEG-2 is very popular in the broadcast world as a sort of a file format that they use for distribution. I know BBC in the UK used MPEG-2 for the distribution. They may still use it, and they recommend around the 50 megabit bitrate. So let's just say I want a raw recording of that camera because I'm going to send it to BBC to use as B-roll for their, their show coming up, and I choose the 50 megabit bitrate here and click start to start recording that. So you can see it's recording here and it'll tell you the dropped frames, if you're using much CPU. But you can see it's recording there at a broadcast production ready format in HD. And you can see the CPU usage down here has jumped up from 5% to 16%. So that gives you an idea of the headroom you have there. You could do 4 cameras and you would only bring that up to 45% recording in that broadcast ready format. So that gives you an idea of the biggest, I guess, CPU consumption in any live production is always the encoding. So you can use the external outputs in vMix to offload that to, say, a video from StudioTech, or you can do it built into vMix. And as a general idea, a 720p stream like the HD stream that you guys are sending out in StudioTech, it's around 25% CPU usage on this particular system using a Core i7 3.2 gigahertz. So you can see you could do 4 cameras, 10% each, plus the stream 25%, I guess that's 75%, plus the 5%, you're sort of bringing it up to around 80%, which is probably the maximum you would be looking at for a reliable, stable production without any dropped frames. So that gives you an idea of the capabilities and headroom you might need if you're considering building a system to do streaming, recording, ISO in vMix.
Okay, I'm just going to bring a couple of questions up from the chat room and let you answer those. First question would be the replay feature. Tell us a little bit about replay. Is it here? Is it coming? Is it in any kind of testing? Tell us a little bit about the replay first, and then I'll come back with another question after you answer that one.
Yeah, so what we have in vMix is what we call video delay. So it's the ability to add an input and select a buffer of 30 seconds or 60 seconds and assign that to a particular camera. So you could say someone scored a goal, you could switch to that video delay, wind it back 10 seconds and replay that goal and replay it in slow motion. But we've started asking customers about what the next type of instant replay feature will look like. A lot of customers are saying they want continuous replay. So they want something like one of those high-end dedicated replay boxes where it's recording all of the cameras, basically like the ISO or multi-quarter recording in vMix, but being able to access those live and to do slow motion and to select mark in, mark out and create clips. All that sort of stuff is in the planning stages for the next version of vMix on top of the existing buffer instant replay capability that's already there in vMix 13 and vMix 12. So if users are interested and customers are interested in giving feedback on what they would like in instant replay, what added on or additional features or the way the user interface they would like it to work, just jump on our forums, forums.vmix.com.au, and there's a thread there called Building a Better Instant Replay, where you can submit your thoughts and contribute to the next version of vMix with regards to instant replay.
Okay, thanks very much, Martin. Now, another couple of questions have come in. First of all, are you going to IBC in September? And that's a subject close to our heart. And the second question was, what chassis did you use? You talked about using, well, a couple, aren't there? The Sonnet chassis is one. But which Thunderbolt to PCIe chassis did you use with the MacBook Pro?
I used by a MacBook Pro chassis by Magma. It was the one slot version. I thought I had the box here, but I don't. But I'm sure if someone looks on Google for Magma Thunderbolt, that'll bring that up. It was around $500 US for the box, and then we just installed the capture card directly into that and then plugged it into the MacBook Pro. And as regards to IBC, we have our major trade shows in the US each year, one in November and, of course, NAB in April. IBC, I'll be there. I'll be walking around the booths, talking to various companies and seeing what other products are out there. I guess, if we have a StudioTech meetup, I'll, definitely plan to come along to that. And if any, customers want to come along and chat, I'll be there for that as well.
Oh, that'd be great. I know Mark's going. I'm not sure whether I am at the moment. I hope I can. Lots of praise in the chat room. One comment, I'll just read it out. Martin, you did a really great job again. vMix Martin. So obviously understandably a lot of enthusiasm for the product, and you just seem to take it from strength to strength. I mean, I'm blown away yet again by this latest release with the not just the integrated audio, but the integrated Skype as well, running all on one box.
Oh yeah, it was the next thing on the list. It was, how do you get Skype working well? And it was bringing video from Skype. That's always a relatively easy thing. I mean, desktop capture capabilities have been around for a long, long time in all products out there in the live production market. But the audio is always a particular challenge of how to route that and how to do the mix minus. So it sort of started from, how can we do Skype? Okay, we need a lot of professional audio mixing features to do that. And so that's what we've done in vMix 13. But I'll say it again, it all comes down to customer feedback. I'm just impressed at the innovative ideas that customers have and saying, well, if you just do this, it's usually not that hard for me to implement in vMix, because it's really the idea that's the major thing. The main thing that I really appreciate is these ideas these customers have and the innovative, concepts and the way they use vMix is what really inspires us to build the next better version of vMix.
Yes, I think the social media integration that came from the competition we ran. Was that last year? Yes, it was last year, I think, wasn't it? 12 months ago. So, gosh, time flies.
Yeah, that was November. That was, I guess, when I was on your guys' show it was the CCW Expo in New York, and I just finished the conference and flown down to Florida. This is where that's where I took that photo behind me, and came on your show and talked about, competition or people to suggest features. Customers unanimously, submitted social media. They want to show Twitter feeds as lower thirds, and then at NAB we released that. So that's been the development cycle. Three to 4 months before. Customers will say, I want this, we'll work on it, and then we'll release it. So, this is vMix 13, which is out there tomorrow, Wednesday. And we'll be, talking to partners and talking to customers at IBC about it. But then after that, it'll be vMix 14.
Yeah, it just keeps on going. Well, another couple of comments just come in. One, very straight, very impressive. vMix Martin, 13 is indeed a lucky number. And someone else appreciating that you do listen to the users, not the way all software developers do. And someone else was asking if you can stream locally over a network as opposed to the internet. I mean, I don't see why not, but could you elaborate on that? And I'll probably throw it back to Vance for any questions he might have.
Yeah, so there's a built-in feature in the recording capability called WMV streaming. So that allows you just to set up a very basic 10 to 20 user streaming server on your local network. So anybody with a computer with a Windows Media Player, or even VLC, the Video LAN client, which is a free media player, can connect to that stream and watch the stream locally. Of course, they could set up their own streaming server. So you guys talked about Wowzer and how they've got a new web interface on their latest release that makes it really easy to set up a stream. So someone could install that on their laptop on the same machine running vMix. They could stream to that and then, view that over their local network as well. So vMix has a whole lot of different video output options. So you could use any, piece of third-party software you prefer to stream locally or on the internet.
All right, Martin. So, I guess that viewers that have seen this over the last few times we've had you on realize that vMix is becoming kind of an all-in-one solution, and that's just like you mentioned with the social media integration of Twitter and et cetera, et cetera. Well, now the replay, it just kind of got my mind thinking, and this is just a general question that I came up with. Do the video buffers that you're able to save or delay, I guess it is, by 30 seconds, a minute, or whatever you were just explaining to us, so where you could go back and then slow motion those buffers down, or can you save those video buffers for future use? Is that a possibility or not?
Yeah, so you can save those replays. So you create that buffer and say you've just replayed that goal, or you could then choose, there's a save button next to it and a duration. So you could choose 30 seconds, save. And so that'll start saving that buffer in the background to disk before it'll start recording again. So the buffer is continuously recording the camera. You click save, it pauses it, saves what's in the buffer to disk, and then continues again, ready for the next goal or ready for the next event you're wanting to replay.
Okay, all right, so that's good. Okay, so there's a lot of these, there are hardware switchers and different companies that make things like, systems that are used for replay. There are, other plugins, a lot of hardware that do things like video, like titling. One of the questions in the chat room was, do you have your own, graphics integration for titling? And I know the answer to that, and I'll let you kind of demonstrate that, because I know you can do it on the fly and do it pretty quickly. So how about showing us that real quick?
Yeah, so this is the interface here, and I've already got a title added. So in vMix 13, we've sort of improved the interface a little bit. So you can see the add input window, which is sort of command central for adding all the various sources. And you can see a list of all of them along here. So you just drop down to the T title icon and then pick a template and say, okay, I like that yellow one there. And I can type, hello from vMix, exclamation mark. Close that, and I'll see it'll add it to the list of inputs. So I can go all the way to the end here and say, oh, there's my title. Simply click one of the 4 overlay channels, and there you go. Lower third over the top of the production. So it's really as simple as that to bring in a title into vMix. And you can design your own graphics, and there's a program available called the vMix Title Designer. I went over that in a bit more detail in the StudioTech show with you guys back in November. So if people look through your YouTube archives and look at around the November timeframe, they'll see a picture of me there, and they can watch that video where I go into the title feature in a bit more depth.
So the bottom line is that we had one episode, and I think it was the episode before that one in November, I believe, that it was the Martin Sinclair stump issue, where we tried to throw a whole lot of questions at him. I think it was double teamed by both myself and Mark, and we said, "Oh, but will it do this?" and "Oh, but will it do that?" So I would encourage anyone, and I don't know how many versions ago that was. Was that version 11, 10 or 11? I don't know. But at any rate, I encourage you to go back and take a look at that episode, because I believe every question that we threw at you, you either had working on the system at the time currently, or it was in development. So I'm fresh out of questions to ask you for 14. So anything else that you would like to bullet point that obviously, we can all see that you spend a lot of time. I'm sure you're very proud of the audio integration. We all know and love the social media integration that's in vMix. The Skype integration is really nice now that you can do it all on one computer. Anything else that you would like to highlight or spotlight before we close? Because you did a pretty good job of getting a lot in 46 minutes. So I'll let you have it one more time, and then we'll close out the show.
Yeah, so one feature as well was the ability to quickly change a source in vMix whilst keeping all the settings. So you can see here I'm in Florida, but I like to say, hey, I want to move to Miami. So if we jump to the interface, I simply click the cog icon underneath the input. I click the change right here, and I'll select a different backdrop. And there we go. Now I'm back in Miami. So as easy as that to change the backdrop of an input, keeping all the chroma key settings intact.
Yeah, so that is great. That's nice to be able to change on the fly, because it's amazing how many times you need to change something based on how your production is going, and the ability to do that without having to have a full production crew to do that is a very big plus. So that is great. Well, Martin, we would like to thank you very much for getting up very, very early, and once again, we'll let everyone know that vMix 14 is releasing tomorrow, Wednesday, to the public for purchase, and that will be, I guess, the earliest there in your country throughout the world, since you guys hit tomorrow before anyone else. So everyone take a look. The website, Martin does a good job of updating it at the proper times, and so if you're looking for these features of 14, then check those out for
13.
Release for tomorrow. Oh, sorry, 13. Sorry.
Yeah,
13.
getting
Lucky
ahead
number
of ourselves a
13.
bit, yeah.
Sorry. I'm getting ahead of you. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. vMix version 13. Sorry about that. I apologize. So Martin, thanks for coming today, getting up very early and showcasing vMix 13. Apologies for trying to pre-release your next version, which I'm sure will be out very soon since you turned these things around so fast. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for having me on StudioTech again. It's always great to show you guys these features. And yeah, vMix 13 will be out on Wednesday. Just visit our website, 60-day trial if you're new to vMix, and give it a go, and visit the forums and let us know what you think.
All right, great. Well, I would also like to thank Peter. Peter's done a great job today, as he does each and every week, pushing the buttons. So, Peter, thanks for coming in on Mark's last day off. This is last day of Mark's holiday, so he'll be back next week to keep us all in line. But thank you for coming in and pressing all of the correct buttons at the correct time.
Yeah, that's not bad actually this week. Yes, the fingers were hovering over the various keyboards. So, yes, that was good. Fascinating again. vMix just goes from strength to strength. It makes you wonder what else can go in it. But I'm sure Martin will come up with something, and I just can't wait to see it. So, thanks very much, Martin. That was really, really interesting.
All right, and I would like to close the show out today by saying please send in your videos and or pictures and descriptions of your setups. It could be your studio, could be one or two computer setup, all the way to a full production van. We saw some earlier in the show today. So continue to send those in. Subscribe to us on YouTube at StudioTech, and follow us on Twitter at TTFNTV, at Vance Willis. And we would like to thank you for watching this week's episode of Studio Tech Live, and we'll see you next week.